Welcome to the Boosting Achievement ESL podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Carol Salva. In this podcast, I'm chronicling my journey of learning about the best ways to support multilingual learners and the teachers who teach them. This is episode 108. First, I need to tell you to check out Voice Ed Radio, though. Please check out voiced.ca. It's education radio 24 hours a day, and I cannot not tell you about it. Okay, so I've got Chris Hagy on the show today from Charleston County School District. I'm going to jump right in because there are people tuning into this episode who just want to know about a strategy, a top tip technique for any classroom. So we're going to jump in and tell you about it. And then after the first 5 minutes, it's our regular podcast where we're just having that conversation. Stick around. After the show, I will be back to talk about my reflections and what I learned. Let's go.
Hi, Dr. Salva and viewers/listeners. I'm Chris Hagy. I'm the Assistant Director for Multilingual Learners for the Charleston County School District in Charleston, South Carolina.
And we're so excited to be together today. We are sharing a strategy. The technique is called QSSSA. That's 3 S's, QSSSA. Any teacher, kindergarten through calculus, this technique really works for structuring conversations. It stands for question, signal, STEM, share, assess. That's where we get the QSSSA. And we want to attribute this to John Seidlitz and Bill Perryman, who brought us this technique about 10 years ago in their 7 Steps to a Language-Rich Interactive Classroom. Let me go through a little bit of what we mean by question, signal, STEM, share, assess. When we have students turn and talk, we know we get big gains from that. So the first thing is just ask a question based on a key concept. This is what you're teaching that day. You've planned a question, and when you ask that question, the first S stands for signal. So we're going to provide a way for students to tell us they're ready, to indicate readiness. This is wait time. So put your hand on your head, show me a thumbs up. Okay, everybody sit down when you can complete this sentence stem. So the next S stands for STEM. We're going to provide a sentence starter for answering the question. The next S stands for share. This is our turn and talk. This is the part where you tell students, turn to your elbow partner, or numbered heads together, start with person number 4, or go find someone with shoes like your shoes. So this S stands for that share. We are asking the students to use the sentence starter. And then the last letter is the A. That stands for assess, because we are going to randomly call on a student or ask everyone to write something. Either way, we're going to get a formative assessment of what was said, what students know. You know, we have 100% of our students talking, and that last A gives us an opportunity to get a formative assessment. So that is the strategy, QSSSA, QSSSA. And there are over a decade of teachers in all content areas swearing by it. So I'm going to ask Christopher if he will go through and talk to us about what I'm showing in the video right now. For listeners, all of this will be in the show notes, but you could actually just Google that acronym, QSSSA, and find a ton of resources. Chris, can you talk about what I'm showing now?
Absolutely. So I put together a Padlet that curated as Carol mentioned, there's 10 years of folks doing this. And if you Google QSSSA, you can probably find most of these resources, but here they are in one place. And, you know, everything from a definition to videos to samples. So depending upon where your comfort level is, this Padlet gives you a number of entry points, or if you're already using it, a way to try something different. I believe that this is a fantastic strategy, and I appreciate you wanting to help me share out what we're doing in Charleston.
100%. I mean, that's the reason I have Chris on the show. You could jot down, when it's safe, Jot down padlet.com/Christopher_Hagy, HAGY/QSSSA. And I will have that link in today's show notes. You can always find all the show notes at the short link bit.ly/BA podcast, all in capital letters. And you're looking for episode 108. So he does have a Padlet that he has put together with a ton of resources for you to learn more about this strategy. Christopher, let's talk about some of our favorite resources that people will find on that Padlet. What's this one I'm showing?
So we have two very, very brief videos put together. One that actually shows it in action where teachers are using it. It's 2 minutes. It's put together by the folks at Elevation, and another video put together by Valentina Gonzalez. Just a kind of an animation that explains how to use this.
Yeah, they're great. And I found another one by Shannon Smith in Pennsylvania. Very engaging, and it's only 4 minutes.
For those unfamiliar and for this being your first exposure, my recommendation is that you go and you watch these videos, but we've also got some other stuff on the Padlet that I can recommend as well. There's some content examples. So there's a slide on it specific to math, but a lot of the stems on there are useful for everyone. So for instance, 3 things I learned from this blank are blank.
This math one that you talked about really is great, from Cherry Ann Gildharry. And she created it for one of her math teachers, Christian Lindsay, and they put it out there for anyone to use. They put it on Twitter. But like you said, actually those sentence starters could work in any content area.
And then we have another slide that is kind of your starter. So as you're putting together this with your students and teaching them the routine of it, because that is going to be part of the work here is getting the students used to this routine. Even if they're used to turn and talk, this is a little bit different. And I would argue superior, but
it is. That one is from Molly Lang. So can you describe here, what do we mean by starter slides? What did Molly put together for the world?
So Molly did an amazing job. She put together really about 10 examples and of that guide you through. So there are 4 or 5 slides on each, and they are topics that are not necessarily content related, but more higher interest. This is to spark a conversation. Would you rather read a book or watch a movie is one of the questions. And then the stem is, I would rather blank because of blank. So Molly put together 10 of these, and the way I would envision these being used as you are building kind of your classroom routines. This would be something that you would practice during the first few days of school, so that the students learn how structured conversations are going to happen in your class. It's also general knowledge topics, so that there isn't an application of content here. It's more about getting the routine down.
It's like, would you rather be rich or famous, or is it better to be kind? And just anyone can answer those. In the first few weeks of school, we know routines are so important, and now we don't have to create that. Molly has put together that slide deck, and on Christopher's Padlet, if you click that link, it will say, do you want to make a copy of this slide deck? And you could just make it your own. You could make it your own. So we're really appreciative to her. I'm now clicking onto the actual Padlet so that we can take a look at some other things. One of the first things that was shared with me that was so profound is this script. There is a script, because we were showing, Molly's helping us train the students in the routine. And I used to have anxiety in the classroom on, am I doing this strategy right? Am I getting it out there? I mean, am I doing it in the right order? I just had some anxiety when it was new to me. So a script, and this one was created by Mrs. Gill. It's at Mrs. Gill _ that's Michelle Gill in Canada. We're so appreciative of her. Christopher, talk to us about this script that anyone can download and use.
Yeah, I mean, we all have anxiety, and most of all are our students, when you're asking them to do something where they they question their own ability. And I think that's the power of QSSSA. And so for the teachers, there's a very structured script. This is what you do on one side, almost a T-chart, and this is why you do it on the other. So the question, this is how you ask the question. Class, without calling out answers, think about this question. And there is a script for each of the 5 components: the question, signal, stem, share, and assess, as well as a descriptor over on the right side that explains why. And I think that's really important that teachers understand why we're doing this, so that they understand why it works. And the real power of this is your scaffolding structured conversations with the students. So turn and talk is great if both of the students have a similar understanding as the teacher as to what's going to happen in that conversation. Where it breaks down is if students don't understand or don't understand the structure of what they're supposed to be talking about, or don't have the linguistic ability to formulate an answer that necessarily attaches itself to the question. So what QSSSA does is parallel to what this Padlet does, is it gives you a roadmap to how do I have effective structured conversations in our classroom.
Usually in training, when I ask what could go wrong with a turn and talk, immediately people say they could be off topic. They could be, one of them doing all the talking. One of them might be too shy. One of them might not know what we're talking about. This structure, like you're saying, solves for all those things. It solves for all those things. It's why it's so popular. I want to read just a couple things off that script. So her script has things like, when you discuss your answers, I want you to respond in this format. And then there's a blank. Turn to your partner or find someone who, or compare your idea. Like, it just tells you what to say exactly as a teacher. And it gives a blank for you to just, plan one. So we have a script. We have slides that would walk you right through it. And Chris, you have even more. Those are just some of our favorite resources. So we want to thank all the folks on here. What are some of the other things that we're showing here?
There's if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a 30-minute video on social studies. So we already talked about math, and here's a video on social studies that you can watch. I just want to underscore the point that this is across content. And that's really, really important, because you'll have teachers who say, great, but what can you do for me? And one of the powerful strategies that you can do is give them a way to structure conversations. And that helps everyone. When they're working with someone else, they have a model that's not the teacher, showing them how to create that academic content. And so we need that sort of modeling happening in every room. We all have things to learn from one another, and the smartest person in the room is the room. So we need to take advantage of everyone that's in the room. And we also need to pull in those kids that maybe have a learned helplessness, where they have learned that if they just sit in the back of the room and be quiet and be well behaved, that they will be able to get through and get by. And what we want to do is really encourage engagement and model that engagement and give them a structured way to engage.
Yeah, it's for the language learners. We have that. I mean, they need it to be able to participate. The shy kids need this to be able to participate, but it's for everybody, right? I believe I know it's for everybody.
Right. I fit into the shy kid. I'm naturally introverted. And so to raise my hand in the classroom and draw attention to myself is not something that I would like to do. And so it is a democratizing strategy. I'm thrilled with Zoom conversations where I can place my ideas into the chat, and this is very similar. You're able to get your ideas out. Others are able to, that the problem with it being introverted is that others don't get the benefit of what because you don't want to draw attention to yourself. And so this allows those students to do it. It allows the professional answers to participate. It allows those who may be missing just one little thing, either I don't know the word for this, or I don't know quite how to express this, to listen to someone else express it, and then perhaps reformulate their own thoughts and place it back to, and both can learn. So it's a really, really powerful thing.
So I also I mentioned upper elementary. So our littles, pre-K, K1, our teachers tell us that's not the problem. The problem is not that they won't answer. The problem is they're all answering at the same time. Maybe not the language learners, but they're still working on helping students regulate and hold on and let somebody else talk. And this solves for that also, because kids want to blurt out answers. And we are asking them, no, the script says right there, I'm not taking volunteers. Nope. Keep your idea in your mind. Show me a signal when you think that you're ready. So then it becomes just the first couple of weeks of school of being very intentional about what does it look like to turn and talk. We have some videos on our website of very young students, and the teachers have taught them knee to knee. They know exactly who their AB partner is. You know, those structures, those Kagan structures, where, you know, students have discourse because we know how powerful it is. That can be from our youngest students. It's important at every single grade level in every single content area. So what I want to come around to now, and the reason that I had to come on the show, is that Charleston County School District is, you know, you created this Padlet. So you're going about professional learning a little bit differently. This is where I think all program leaders should take note of what you're doing there. Talk to us about your vision for how you are getting something like this across to all the teachers.
Yeah, I think one is grassroots, but the intentionality behind our plan for professional development is to provide multiple entry points. I think our shared understanding and based on some of the groups I participate in, nationwide, I don't know that our pre-service teachers are receiving the training that they need in order to work with multilingual learners. I am hoping that there's some educational programs out there that are taking note. But number one, many of these strategies are fantastic for all learners. And so teachers coming out of a program and getting the classroom for the first time would benefit from understanding language acquisition and strategies to increase student talk in class. But for me, it's about how do I best support the teachers? And especially in these times, teachers are tired. And so saying, well, you can go take these five graduate classes to get certified in ESOL or multilanguage learning. That's a big ask. So what can I do? How can I provide multiple entry points where, yes, I can go spend 8-10 days getting sheltered instruction trained. I can spend months and months taking graduate classes, or let's break it down a little bit. Let's do a book study. And this is okay. I'm going to spend an hour a week engaged in this book, or let's break it down even further. And let's say, okay, here is a 1-hour webinar specific to what do you do if they don't speak English? So we try to offer these multiple entry points where, yes, you can go all the way up and the district will support you so that at the end of the time, you participated in book studies, you've done our webinars, you've taken grad classes, and you're sheltered instruction trained, and you've reached the pinnacle. But a lot of teachers just want to be able to help that one kid. And so what can I do to do that? And certainly, one-off PD days or something that we offer, but we also offer things as brief as a 1-hour webinar or resources. We send out a tip of the month that teachers can read and practice. We ask them for their feedback, and we send them a little professional learning book if they're successful. So I think that's the answer. And I think that, yes, I do hope that others will take note that teachers have to know a little bit about everything. But if a teacher wants to become an expert in something, let's give them an entry point and then give them a pathway to do that. And so, if I just want, one strategy about improving structured conversations in our class, then here's a Padlet. You can go look at this. You can watch or listen to this podcast. And then if you want to come back to it, you come back to it. But, asking teachers who are trying to find time to engage in, a series of grad classes or a 10-day sheltered instruction training or even a book study, sometimes it's too much. So I think the key is finding those multiple entry points for teachers so that they can come in and say, yeah, this makes sense to me. Or yes, I've got this. I point to Hagy's research on self-efficacy for teachers. If they feel like I've got this, I can do this, I know what I'm doing, I have the background to do it, they're going to be successful. So how do you do that without making them feel overwhelmed? This is what we're trying in Charleston. And maybe you'll have me back in a few years and we can talk about whether it's been successful or not, but it certainly feels like the right thing.
Yeah, definitely. I know I'll have you back. I can already tell that it's the right thing because I've had the extreme honor of coming to Charleston and working at different campuses. And Ton Nguyen and Dr. Katie Topple and I are extremely honored that you brought DIY PD to all of your ESOL specialists. Actually, you guys partnered with Berkeley County and we did a day where everybody got a taste of what all is available to you as someone that supports multilingual learners. So we want to thank you again for bringing us in to offer those tools to your educators and your specialists, because exactly like what you're saying, everybody has a different amount of time. Everybody has a different background. Everybody has they're at a different place in their life where they may or may not have extra time. But when I do have 5 minutes, when I do have 2 minutes and I want something, Charleston is being very intentional about here's where you go. Here's a bite-sized piece. Here's a bigger piece. Here's whatever so that you can self-direct your learning. That's the most exciting thing to me. People listening to this podcast, especially people who are listening to my podcast regularly, we don't have to convince them. They are self-directing their learning every time they listen to a podcast. It's on their time because they want to. And so to be inside of a district in charge of professional learning for this demographic, multilingual learners, and go, how do I open that to everyone? How do I not just tell them, hey, it's all out there, give them entry points that are easy to grab, that are just easy to click on, that we know are good with our employer. We know Charleston approves of this strategy and actually advocates for it. It's such a gift. I feel like it's such a gift. So I have had the opportunity to work with teachers and specialists who are telling me that they really do like the flexibility in what's available to them for professional learning. And so at Sidelets and myself personally, we're just honored. I know y'all have had my co-author Anna Mattis out there and some other folks. And what an honor for us to get to be part of something so innovative.
Well, it's exciting to have you because y'all consistently do great work, and to put in a plug for your book, the DIYPD. It's not only is it an excellent resource, and there it is over your shoulder. Not only is it an excellent resource, but I think anyone that's been working in this field for a while knows and can see and feel that there's a shift coming. I think maybe 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, and probably still in parts of the country, ESOL or multilingual learner language instruction was something that was done in isolation. And okay, the ESOL teacher is going to have their students in a room. They're going to work on second language acquisition. Then they're going to go back into the classroom. And I think at this point in our history, we've reached a tipping point where that's just that's not where the future is going to be. And the future is going to be having the multilingual learner teacher be an expert in the building and to support other teachers. And so how do we do that? Well, for folks who are amazing, and I hate to call it interventionist because ESOL is not an intervention, but if you put it in that model for folks who are very, very good at that, they might not be experts in delivering professional development for teachers. And so, I think it's very similar to some of the strategies in the book. Here is an easy way to put your toe in the water around professional development for your colleagues who desperately need this training. I think when a content area teacher walks into the room and they find a student who speaks minimal English, it's just overwhelming. How do I reach this? How do I reach this student? And so providing little bite-sized things that can be done quickly and taken into the classroom tomorrow, such as QSSSA, that's really what we need to do for all our teachers until pre-service catches up and realizes, hey, we need to be providing training and this coursework needs to be part of every teacher's program of study.
That's the goal, right? Is that everybody's working together on behalf of our most marginalized students, but also where it's easier for the teacher to differentiate for that child. And we're not just closing gaps, we're growing leaders. And everybody in that classroom, you have some high flyers. That student that keeps raising their hand, they also need an opportunity to talk. They also need an opportunity to stretch their thinking. They may have goals of listening to other people to become the leader that they may want to be. And so I agree. It's offering teachers things that are practical because it's overwhelming, and we should honor what teachers are doing. And support them. I think we could wrap it up with something that Valentina, she was in Missouri this past week at the Elevate conference in St. Louis, and she happened to quote me. She put me on a slide, and my phone started blowing up. My Twitter started blowing up because people were taking the quote and retweeting it. And so Valentina Gonzalez, if you guys don't know Valentina Gonzalez, she's at Valentina ESL. She makes amazing graphics, right? She just has a gift for making graphics and putting them out there that are fun to see. So she made a graphic of this quote. So I'm going to share it, but I'm also going to read it, and we can, you'll be the first one to know. We are going to go ahead and get t-shirts printed. We don't want the teachers to think this is one more thing. We don't want them to think QSSSA is one more thing, or using visuals or using gestures or having students access to the academic vocabulary, that kind of thing. Sometimes it can feel like it's one more thing we're adding to their plate. And at some point I said, language acquisition strategies are not one more thing. They are the thing. They are the thing. If I'm becoming a teacher, if I'm a brand new teacher, even if I have 0 language learners, if someone shows me language acquisition strategies, that is my pedagogy. It's beyond just good for everyone. It's what makes test scores go up, because it is tier 1 instruction. It's a big part of tier 1 instruction when you give kids wait time, when you point out academic vocabulary, when you let them talk to negotiate meaning. It's also personalized when you have to talk or write in short bursts. It's the thing. It's not one more thing. It's the thing. So this is a beautiful graphic if you are watching the video on YouTube. And I want to thank Valentina again, and just look for those t-shirts coming out soon. It's crazy how many people want to have this quote on their t-shirt or something. And I bet you would agree, right, Chris?
I absolutely would agree. We're all, 15 years ago, it was, we're all teachers of reading, but we're all teachers of language acquisition. Every teacher struggles with, how do I get a concept across? How do I teach vocabulary? And that is the heart of language acquisition. So I agree 100% and look forward to getting my t-shirt.
Okay, wonderful. I'll make sure you're first to know. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Again, this is episode 108 of the Boosting Achievement ESL podcast. I'm going to record just a couple minutes with my reflections because that's just part of what I do for my own learning. But I do want to thank you, Chris Hagy. I want to thank you for everything you're doing in the field. And how can people find you? Do you want me to just put your contact information in the show notes if they have questions?
That would be wonderful. I look forward to hearing from your listeners. I know they're an amazing bunch, so please feel free to email me.
Okay, great. We will do that, and we'll just sign off for now. Thanks again for coming. Okay, so I'm honored that he was here. Thanks again, Chris Hagy. Don't forget to check out the show notes. They're at bit.ly/BA podcast, all in capital letters. You're looking for episode 108. One of my big takeaways from this show was it's not as hard as we might have thought to help teachers personalize their learning. And it can be powerful. And I just want to lift up Chris Hagy again for that. So where can we get together? I usually try to end the show with that. I know that I'm going to be a keynote speaker November 2022. So that's in about 6 months. Stephen Krashen, Dr. Stephen Krashen, Dr. Andrea Honigsfeld, and John Seidlitz himself are the other 3 keynote speakers for the Text TESOL conference. It's here in Houston. I hope you come because it's open to anyone. Valentina Gonzalez is going to be there. A lot of the Seidlitz folks will be there. Emily Francis will be coming down. So many people will be here in Houston, Texas for the weekend of the Text TESOL conference. So you'll find that in the show notes today, links. I don't know if registration's open, but I don't think yet even putting a proposal in is open, but do that. Come on, self-direct your learning by presenting. It's really one of the most powerful things that you can do. And I'd love to support you with that. All right, where else? TABE, which is the Texas Association of Bilingual Educators. I'm giving a pre-conference that day, giving a full day before the conference starts to come and talk about literacy for older emergent readers. Also, another thing we're making harder than it needs to be to help these kiddos get literacy off the ground. It's appropriate for anyone. We'd love to have you there. And the links, I don't think we have the links for that yet. So be looking for that. It's in the fall also. And as soon as I have links, not only will I put them in the show notes, I will send it out to people who subscribe to my blog. So if you're driving, you can always Google my name and find me, Carol Salva, Dr. Carol Salva on Twitter. And my blog is salvac.edublogs.org. With that, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell you to take really good care of yourself. You know, I have you in high, high regard and I appreciate you. Take good care. Bye-bye.